Hey, Caitlin, have you heard about this new $250,000 fine that can potentially be incurred on your real estate transaction if you don't properly report?
Yeah, I have heard about those. That's that new FinCEN AML, the anti-money laundering rule that's going into effect this March.
Okay, so can you tell us how that might affect our real estate agents coming up in March? What are they going to need to look out for?
This new FinCEN rule is something that we've been talking about for a while. It was actually originally going to go into effect in December of 2025, but it got pushed out until March of 2026. The idea behind it is actually that we're going to have to provide a ton of information about buyers and some information about sellers on certain transactions that we've never had to report information to the federal government about before. So if you have a transaction that is a cash transaction or even like hard money or a private loan, and the buyer is buying the property in an entity like an LLC or a corporation or a trust, we're going to have to provide a lot of information for that buyer to this FinCEN organization, which is a federal organization, because the whole goal behind this is to prevent money laundering, right? So the realtors are probably going to be fielding a lot more questions. Our closing process may have a few more steps into it, so it might slow down a little bit, especially at the beginning.
Gotcha. So maybe like it might affect the closing process a little bit. So what would you tell the agents watching this? How can they talk through their clients with this, giving over like in some cases, very sensitive information? Is there going to be some best practices or processes in place for this?
First and foremost, we need to make sure that our partners in our closing are educated, right? So you're working with an educated title company because it's usually going to fall on the title company to do these reports. So we want to make sure that the title company is collecting that information in a safe way, maybe a portal, phone calls, things like that. There's also scenarios where a third party may be involved, and we're going to have a new third party come in who might be doing this reporting on behalf of the title company. So I think we have to kind of mentally prepare our clients for what that process is going to look like, whether it's going to be the title company who's going to handle it, and our process might feel a lot more like it does right now. Or if you're using a title company that's planning on using a third-party software, we probably want to prep our client, hey, there might be another company that's being involved in the transaction now, which brings us to kind of one of the most important differences, especially for our buyers. And as real estate agents, we probably want to start preparing our clients, but it's actually an additional cost.
Okay.
So FinCEN has estimated that to prepare these reports and file them, it's going to cost most companies between $500 and $800. So everyone is expecting that when these reports go into effect, there will be an additional fee assessed to the buyer. So realtors probably want to work closely with their title companies to figure out what that fee is going to look like, what the fee is that they're going to be charging, and start preparing their buyers for that fee to show up on their statements.
Okay, so what about sellers? We know that there's going to be a lot of new data that's going to be collected from the buyers. Are the sellers getting off the hook here, or are there going to be some data that they're going to have to provide as well?
Great question. There is some data that is going to be provided about the sellers to the federal government, right? We know that this is a federal reporting requirement, so they are obligated to provide that information, and it will be reported to the government. It's not quite as invasive as the information that we're providing for the buyers and that we're asking of the buyers, but the sellers will have to comply as well in these scenarios. So that is something for the sellers to certainly be aware of.
So final thought, when should the agent start telling their clients about this? The end of February, or should they get ahead of the train and start kind of advising their clients on this, what's to come?
That's a really good point, right? Because we keep saying that the ruling is going to go into effect on March 1st. And so in our minds, we're like, okay, we've got some time to think about this potentially. But that means that the first reportings have to be made March 1st. I would say if you are working with a buyer right now that is a cash, non-traditional financing purchaser and they intend to buy in an entity, we should be having that conversation with them right now. Hey, if we don't close before March 1st, we're going to have to be doing this report. because they are a little bit scary. And when we think about the potential for not we're doing this report correctly, we could potentially have a $250,000 fine.
Right.
If you're a real estate agent and you have some more questions about these FinCEN reporting requirements, please reach out to us here at Legacy Title. My name is Caitlin and this is Briana, and we can be reached at info@legacyclosings.com or our main line 248-913-2266.